All right, so to get started, I'm gonna just do a little free ride. We're gonna start at a walk, but I'm willing to bet that she's going to really up the pace pretty quickly here. So I'm not gonna ask her to go faster or slower, okay? There she goes into a trot. And it's a little bit of a frantic trot. And you guys have heard me say lots of times right from the start, I don't allow a horse to ever run away. So I started off, again, just a free ride, but she got frantic pretty quick. Now normally I'm talking you through what I'm doing, but normally I would have shut this down a lot sooner, okay? So I'm gonna do a one rein stop, to a walk, or a slower trot. If she decides a slower trot, I'm gonna accept that, okay? Now right away, she's getting impulsive again, okay? And I like to say within those first 3 steps, we're gonna do a transition. One rein stop, there she goes. So we'll do a one rein stop down to a walk. Just because I do a one rein stop doesn't mean I have to stop. All right, so this is how I'm gonna start the warm up. Now if you have one that's a lot faster than that, you might not start there, all right? You might be on a runaway real quick. Okay, so now I'm gonna continue this free ride. You're only gonna see me guide her to keep her inside the barn, okay? You're gonna see me step in if she gets frantic and runs away, or if she's gonna crash into something. That's it. Other than that, I want her just to move around. I want her to take in her environment, kind of be able to move her feet, be a horse, and see everything inside and outside that she needs to see in order to feel safe, okay? Now again, if you're sitting on a horse, and they're likely to just bolt and take off on you, you wouldn't start with this free ride exercise, okay? So you would actually start with what I'm gonna show you next. So I'll have her do another lap here of the free ride. She's still, you guys can see she's still looking around. She just blew out and relaxed there. So we'll go do another lap here. She's looking at something out the door here. This is all stuff that I need to make a mental note of. What is she uncertain about? What is she looking at? Where does she want to be? Where does she want to go? Okay. You can see she's starting to settle in there already. And I haven't done anything with this horse so far other than bring her in, got her groomed up. You can see we made a few tracks in here just from mounting and doing the introduction of the video a couple times, you know. But she's had no warm up. You're gonna see it all today. Okay, there she's starting to settle in. She's starting to sigh. She's trying to blow a little bit. So the first thing you guys are going to want to do in this sequence is really develop a language between you and the horse. And when you get on a fast horse and you touch them with a leg, or you move, or you twitch your shoulder, they take off, okay? So what that is a communication breakdown, or it's something they've learned in their past life and their past training to hit the gas and go. But most of the time, when we as horsemen or horse trainers apply a rein or apply a leg, it doesn't mean go faster. When I want to change gait, I want the horse to understand to shift its weight and do something different with his feet, not necessarily go faster or run away. Okay, same if I'm doing a lateral transition or a lateral yield. So the most important part to start with is developing a language. So you guys have seen, who've been following me have seen that I teach the horse 5 essential yields. It's something she understands, it's something the horses understand, it's something I understand. The key word there is I teach it, okay? They're not tasks to check off. Okay, I can do that, check the box. Okay, if you're just checking off the tasks, your horse doesn't necessarily understand the language, and that can get you in trouble. So we teach it. One of the first things I like to teach is, can I go forward, isolate just the head and the neck, and take the head and the neck away from them, okay? And it's fine if they don't come to a stop. I want to put her to a walk. A lot of times for a fast horse, it's safer if you can just take their head and their neck away and keep riding them around in a little circle. Okay, a horse that's really fast or really impulsive, you can actually get in more trouble trying to stop them than you can taking their head and their neck away and allowing them to go in a little circle. Okay. Good. So far we have a forward yield. the next piece, can you take their head and their neck away again and set your weight forward and turn your inside toe out and see if you can get the back end stepping around the front. That's going to be pretty important to be able to do. A lot of times what you're going to notice is you shift your weight, your horse is going to go faster, even if it's forward. You know, and forward can be, you know, you guys have seen the reiners, they put their weight forward like that because in order to gallop or to run a fast circle, they need to shift their weight. The horses need to shift their weight from 60% on the hind end in the canter to approximately 70% of their weight on the forehand for the gallop. So what I'm going to do, excuse me, got some dust or hay in my throat. We were putting up hay all morning. Excuse me. So what I need to be able to do is sit forward, turn my toe out, not have the horse run away, but rather step that back end around the front. And you really want them to know that. It's not just a task, it's a check off. You really want your horse to understand when you turn that inside toe out, they need to step that back end around. Okay. So now we have a forward yield and we have a hind quarter yield. You're not going to dabble too much with the four-quarter yield, or I'm sorry, with the forward yield, because there's so much of that in there already. I wouldn't even call it forward, I'd call it running away. All right, so when I turn my toe out and I apply my leg, I'm not necessarily pushing that foot into him, but I want that horse to start understanding to step that back end around. There she goes. Instead of running away, instead of going faster like a lot of these horses do. Get that working really well on both sides. Shift your weight forward, slightly to the outside, ride forward around the front end. Good. Right out of that. Something I'm noticing there, just on a side note, is on that left shoulder, she's getting a little sticky in that turn. So can I shift my weight forward? Step her forward a bit more to keep her shoulders light. There she goes. Okay, I really don't want the horse pivoting. If I ask the horse to pivot on that front end too soon, they'll lock up. They'll lock their muscles up from their pole right into their shoulder because they don't have the understanding, the suppleness, and the strength yet to be able to balance on that foot and pivot. And then I'd be undoing a lot of the work that I've already done on her. Okay, so next piece, we have forward, we have hind quarter yield. We need to start to introduce a four-quarter yield. But I'm going to help the horse balance by first riding around the front end again. When I feel the feet start to situate themselves, I'm going to shift my weight back and take my inside leg off. And for the sake of teaching the horse to slow down, I'm going to turn my outside toe out and make contact with the horse's side. Again, it's an opportunity for the horse to feel your leg and learn what it means. Learn that leg means yield. It does not mean go faster. Okay, so let's try it on this side. You guys can see I've already taken the time to establish this language with her. Ride forward and around the front end. This is her sticky shoulder. You guys see it there. I don't want her pivoting. There she goes. There she goes. When I feel her back feet start to situate themselves, I'll shift my weight back, turn my outside toe out, and see if I can bring her front quarters through. All right. Next piece. Can you combine those two yields? Can you take start with what I showed you right at the start, isolate the head and the neck, shift your weight forward and to the outside, and get a couple steps of a side pass. Okay? Doesn't have to be anything fancy, but can you just get a couple steps? There she goes. We'll do that on each direction. I call that a drift. Okay? Quick review, the 5 essential yields that I teach all people and horses are forward and backwards, four-quarter, hind quarter, and then what you just saw me do right there, the drift. Okay, so can we isolate the head and the neck, shift our weight forward to the outside, and get the horse to cross over in the front, especially in the front and in the back. Okay. If that's not shaping up for you, your horse may not have learned to step the hindquarters around and the front quarters through. Okay. I would go back and teach that. Again, they're not tasks. They're not boxes to be checked off. That's the development of a language, the 5 yields. All right. Last piece is the backup. What I like to do when I'm teaching a horse to back up, and you've seen me do this on my ground videos as well, but I like to really loosen the hindquarters up before I ask for the backup. It's going to take a lot of the fighting and the pulling out of teaching the backup, because the hindquarters are already starting to loosen up. So I've got a little drift going. I'm going to roll the hindquarters, shift my weight, get off our top line, and see if we can roll that into a backup. Good. Very good. We'll try that on the other side. Set that up again. Isolate her head and her neck. I'm just using the 1 rein stop for that. Head and the neck. Isolate it. Can I drift for shaping? There she goes. Shift my weight forward. Roll the hindquarters. Shift my weight. And she got a little stuck there. Shift my weight. Rock her backwards. Good. If your horse gets really stuck, there's no shame in abandoning that backup. Get those hindquarters loosened up first. That could even save you from getting reared up on, especially if you have one of these really forward horses. Okay, ride her forward around that turn. Loosen those hindquarters up. She's getting a little sticky there. I'm going to ask her to cross her front over. There she goes. Roll the hindquarters, shift my weight, and see if she'll back up. Very nice. Good. Okay, so that's the development of the language. Don't do all that in one day. It'll be way too much for your horse. Pick a couple a day. Work on the pieces of it until your horse understands it, then move on.